My name is Aleksandra Dróżdż. I am an intellectual property and personal data protection lawyer, and it's great to be here again at CopyCamp in Warsaw. Today I want to share with you some of my thoughts on blockchain in the context of creative industries. Maybe it's a bit bold, but I decided to assume that all of you copyright enthusiasts understand what blockchain technology is, at least more or less, like me. So let me just briefly recap 3 distinctive features of this technology that are particularly useful. Firstly, transactions are verified and approved by the consensus of all participants in the network. Secondly, there is full chronology of transactions available, which is also very useful. And thirdly, the technology operates on a distributed rather than centralized platform, and each participant sees the same records. By now, it is very well recognized that this technology has the potential to disrupt nearly every industry, and creative industries are obvious candidates for such a transformation. Specifically, blockchain might introduce long-awaited transparency in the sphere of copyright ownership chain. It could mitigate the risks of online piracy by finally enabling control by content online, and create a real market for second-hand digital copies. It could easily combine the simplicity of open source or Creative Commons licenses by combining them with revenue streams via cryptocurrencies, payments, and smart contracts. Basically, it could, in a word, Spotify and YouTube increasingly insert themselves into the value chain between their artists and their audiences. They could enable a more artist-centric business model. But although I am very excited to see all of those changes, for me as a lawyer, I have to remain skeptical. So I will tell you to manage your expectations because there are a lot of challenges to overcome. Otherwise, any blockchain-based copyright management platform will not go beyond the buzzword. The aim of this presentation is to point your attention to some legal issues that have to be resolved, really have to, before the promises of blockchain technology may become reality. Firstly, there is lack of common approach towards cryptocurrencies, common legal approach. Secondly, there is lack of common legal approach towards smart contracts. Thirdly, there is no legal presumption of authorship or copyright ownership for records in a blockchain-based copyright management platform. Fourthly, there are no additional legal protections for users relying on such records. For example, a typical exemption from liability for infringement or some kind of a good faith exception. And finally, there is no special online intermediary exemptions from liability for the operators of such platforms. Obviously, the time does not allow me to elaborate on all of those issues, but I assume, again, that you as copyright enthusiasts understand that they're very consequential from a legal standpoint and affect the widespread use of such platforms. Anyway, to resolve the above issues and many, many others, because I only mentioned some of the legal ones, I'm a lawyer, all of the stakeholders, especially governments, will have to lean in. It seems it would be best if the European Union took the lead, like with the personal data protection legislation, and considered taking some steps that could eventually lead to uniform legislation across the member states. One should expect that such a process will take years. Surely stakeholders who value their status quo and do not want to see any major changes will be very influential in the legislative process, so it will be very fun to see the lobbying game. Anyway, to me, if the above issues are not resolved, each blockchain-based copyright management platform will hardly be substantially different than the conventional ones. It may exploit the blockchain hype and probably even attract some investors, but it will not provide tangible value for individual users or artists. Thank you.